Hey sluts, I'm Aubrey, an Aquarius sun, Scorpio moon, Taurus rising.
And I'm Dani, a Sag sun, Leo moon, Libra rising.
And we're your Astro Sluts.
We're back for Quickie number 5. Our new Quickie series is all about y'all. So anything you want us to talk about, anything you need advice on, or any silly story maybe you need a second opinion on, we're here for you.
Anything that doesn't quite fit into our, thematic episodes, we've also wanted to get to. So we're throwing them in a quickie. This week's submission is, hey Astro Sluts, I would love to hear you two talk about / go through the Lilith placements and why it's referred to as the black moon sign. This was something that I had never really looked into before, I guess.
I know, same. Honestly, I feel like I see it, but and all of my books, all of my apps I use, the books I read, I feel like there's never a section on Lilith.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah. Super
Very
interesting.
But I think we both really enjoyed
learning about it. Yeah, I'm excited to talk a little more.
Just for clarity to start out, there are apparently 4 different kinds of Lilith placements in astrology. Hello? Astrology. There is an oscillating Lilith, which is the true Lilith.
Mm-hmm.
There's an asteroid named Lilith.
Yeah.
There is the dark moon Lilith, which is also called the Waldmath black moon, something like that. I don't know if that's how you say it. But then there's also the one that this submission is asking about, which is the black moon Lilith. Confused. There's a dark moon and there's a black moon.
Right.
We're talking about the black moon. It's also referred to as the mean Lilith, as in average. It's going to be a point in the sky.
I didn't get what that meant.
I wondered if you didn't.
Thank you.
It's an average.
Because they were no, literally, it was mean, not in temperament. And I was like, I don't get it. I was she's mean. I was what do you mean if she's not in temperament mean? That's so funny. That didn't clock at all.
Hilarious. Thank you. I am not positive I understand how it's calculated, but
no,
you can Google a calculator and find yourself.
Not that I could do the math, but that makes so much. I wasn't
the
clocking
name
why
makes
was mean.
sense.
Yeah, average.
She's not nice.
It's the average of all the Liliths. It's the mean Lilith or something. I don't know.
So, yes. So, it's a point in the sky, kind of like the nodes, not a physical object. And it's calculated. It's the point where the moon's orbit is furthest away from Earth. And it's this one is calculated using averages. Different than the true Lilith is the literal point. But I guess I don't really understand how many points it's averaged
together.
Yeah. Or
I don't know.
Is it is the true Lilith, is it the one before your birthday or is it the one after? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have no idea.
It doesn't matter. It's called the black moon Lilith because this was also new that I learned. Apparently the moon has an elliptical orbit.
Yeah.
One point in the oval. So it's an oval, right? It's not equally surrounding Earth the whole time. One point of the end of the oval is Earth. The other end is question marks
space.
So that's why it's called the black moon. It's because it's not really I guess clear what else it's circling kind of.
Interesting. Yeah. Very shadow.
It must have something to do with the axis of the Earth.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
What's dark, in the black or something in the shadow. Is that maybe the kind of
so,
it loses?
Yeah,
not contact because it has an orbit.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of symbolically works. Yeah. So we'll get into the Lilith mythology a little bit as well, but. Yeah, it's kind of there's one point is Earth and the other point is just blackness, you know? So the black moon. Also, I think it's really fun. I almost did way too much research on the Waldmath black moon, one of the other Lilith points. It's maybe a fake moon.
Oh.
It's a conspiracy theory second moon of the Earth.
Oh, wow.
That there's a couple astronomers have claimed to see, but the Wikipedia page is it's like widely like considered like a false claim, but like
so interesting.
It's supposed to be just like a more of like a dust cloud kind of thing. You can only see it at like certain times or whatever.
Oh, interesting.
Really funny. I almost, went in a deep hole about that.
Okay, very
so
interesting.
if you're for our Aquarius listeners.
Yeah, literally. You're gonna love the second moon.
Hilarious. But I think that's also has to do with like same vibe. So Lilith was the first woman. Yeah. Like, we're in the Garden of Eden. Yeah. Before Eve, like basically who would like not submit to men. Yeah. Lilith and Adam were both made from so I'm like hilarious because also at that wedding I was just at a couple of weeks ago, like I've got a refresher on the Bible Adam and Eve story. Yeah. Which, moment
we
of
don't
silence.
love.
No, yeah. I like literally was like trying to go into the Catholic wedding like open, and then the first reading of mass was like, man needs a woman beside him. I was like, well, no, I know this is not gonna really fly for me. Yeah. Anyways, we all live such different lives. So Lilith and Adam are both made from soil together, cut from the same cloth. Yeah, equals. And basically, they were gonna fuck or probably like, reproduce. Yeah. And like Adam thought Lilith's like rightful place was like in missionary position, submissive. And like, but
she was like, no.
Lilith was like, hell no. Yeah. I'm gonna be on top, you little bitch. Yeah. Dom energy. So depending on who you're hearing this story from, she was either banished or chose to leave the Garden of Eden on her own because she wouldn't like obey Adam / God. And basically she went and lived in cave with demons. There's like a lot more to the story. But I think like her getting like sent to a cave.
Yeah, literally.
Is an important like vibe for this
that
story.
Archetype. Yes. We're back to archetypes from a couple quickies ago. Dark feminine.
Yes.
She non-submissive.
Was like, she was fucking the demons. She had demon babies.
Yeah. Is what we can gather.
I think literally doing this research, she is like often like demonized and for like a lot of like history has been seen as like, the troublemaker, like a problem, but just like everything is the patriarchy. It's so crazy. Like it's just like so deep rooted. Yeah. But interesting, I'm under the impression that she's demonized in most like Jewish texts or like Hebrew texts, I guess. And whereas she is seen as like a symbol of strength in Babylonian texts. It's just like a little like distinction. But it's obviously been, I'm like, if you watched the revival, the reboot of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Lilith's a big character. I think it is, a big, like, just in spirituality, widespread. Yeah. Lilith's something that, like, we've been able to reclaim in the 21st century as a symbol of power. Which is
hot.
Yeah.
We love
that. So I think similar to all of these like kind of asteroidy and more like mythology based ones, this can represent a lot of different things. There's like a lot of different ways to interpret this point in your chart. I'm also, just for transparency, I guess, I don't know what the difference is representation wise between this Lilith point and the other Lilith points. Yeah. It represents in your birth chart like where you could like be a bad little bitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it for both like what I noticed in my chart, and I think it can be something that like might be had been repressed in the past, or might still be repressed now. But if you like do some like shadow work on it, you could like really unlock something in that part of your life and like find a lot of power.
Yeah, absolutely. I think almost what part of the problematic thing about it is it like literally could simply represent feminine energy, but feminine energy is just like a bad, I'm using my fingers in quotes, a bad thing. So like, is it something that has to be like so subversive and like dark and controversial and whatever? Like, probably not. Yeah. But like, it is.
Yes.
You know, it's like the wild feminine, essentially. So it's like probably more like, I don't know if I want to say like animalistic, but like sexual and like unlocked feminine energy than like what Eve represents, than like virgin feminine energy.
Yes. And like,
so like then it's like, ooh, spooky.
Right. Like wild just in the sense of like it's not controlled.
Yeah.
It's not suppressed. And like that is something which a lot of like the themes will talk about is just, I mean, literally just literally any theme. Like women in power is not something that like anyone has grown up like seeing.
Yeah.
That's not something that we have like had represented for us a lot. So it's hard, like that's why it like seems like they're like bad things.
Right.
Just like a woman in power period is like quote bad in our society. So like a woman like standing their ground or like you know, any autonomy from a woman or literally just not a man. Like, well, let's be inclusive to me.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like anyone just subverting a man or the patriarchy.
Yeah.
And I think like also I'm pretty sure you just said this, like the kind of untapped or untouched like potential. Like I think that could also have a lot to do with like literally just our society of like, again, like women and non-binary people like in power is just like still untapped potential.
Yes.
So like that's a lot of what that represents because we just like aren't even there yet.
Yeah. And then I guess just also for clarity, feminine power is within everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Men can, you know, cishet men can tap into their like, you know, divine feminine or whatever.
We all have like masculine and feminine energy.
Yeah. So just distinguishing feminine does not equal woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely like where you need to like find independence, like where you need to do shadow work or like your dark side kind of sexuality either like repressed at this point or not.
Yeah.
Where you have like power struggles, where you feel demonized or suppressed.
Yeah.
I think all of these Lilith placements are very much giving like two sides of the same coin. Like maybe you don't like, I don't know, if you don't identify with what we say about your Lilith placement, like, I don't know, consider this an invitation to explore it.
Yeah.
Like, and just be open to it.
I absolutely.
Depending on where you're at, you'll either be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that, like that was a huge thing that I needed to get over to like, you know, feel more embodied of myself.
Right.
Or you can look forward to it. So Lilith does stay in a sign for about 9 months. So you are going to have the same Lilith placement as people born, you know, within 9 months of you. But you could also look to what house Lilith is in to see like what part of your life that this could apply to. So we're just going to go through the signs, but just know that you could also look at the house that your Lilith is in for a more like personalized
absolutely.
Aries. You're gonna love a fight, a great leader, maybe like power struggles with authority.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like Aries is like a really good example of this Lilith being like subversive.
Yes.
Like you're gonna want to be in control. You're gonna not be afraid to take the stage. You're gonna not be afraid to do what you want to do. And like obviously depending on like your roles, your career, kind of your placement in life, like that's going to be like it might be like a scary thing to do, but I feel like if you have this Lilith placement, it means like fucking go. Yeah. Like fucking do it.
Yeah. Just do things.
It.
If you have an impulse, like go for it. Don't like, don't feel like you need to like, you know, look at all the options or like, you know, like trust your instincts.
Like you're meant to do that.
Yeah,
you're meant
absolutely.
to lead.
Taurus. You're definitely going to be like driven by pleasure, but potentially have some sort of like scarcity mindset. So I think it's like shadow work on like wealth.
Surrounding like abundance.
Yes, abundance, like trusting that like I know something
what's yours is yours.
Yes, something my partner. This is like semi on topic. My partner has been saying recently, like just on the like concept of like spending money, just being like, it's gonna come back to me.
Yeah.
Like run it. It's the money I'm spending is coming back to me, and they've
It'll
been
always
like,
come back.
yeah, they've been like ever since I like adopted that, like it's been true.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I think that could be helpful for a Taurus Lilith placement as well. Gemini, this is gonna be on like communication or like speaking your truth. It might be like either really difficult for you or like maybe used to be really difficult for you to like, say what you mean and like speak your thoughts.
Speak up for yourself.
Yeah, but like finding power when you are able to do that, I think is really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cancer, it's giving like separation anxiety and just kind of like, shelling yourself at home like out of fear.
Yeah, I also think like Cancer is just like so kind of what we were talking about, like Eve femininity or like mother femininity, wifey femininity, like that whole like classic feminine energy. So like what can you do to like subvert that? Or like I feel like that would almost be like your instinct is to like have that like what you think like your feminine should be, but like what can it actually be? Like how can you actually like use your strengths to be like nurturing and to be all those like good Cancer qualities, but like not through just like cooking and baking and being at home.
Right.
Like how can you be like a nurturer, a healer, a comforter, not like a duvet. A comforter.
Not a comforter. Hilarious.
But like in more like a power, like in a empowered way.
Yeah. I think also just finding power in like your independence. I feel like in the movie, you are Eve,
right?
And you're like you're the main character in this movie,
right?
Obviously, and as Eve, you are feeling like. Yeah, your suppression and like looking at Eve and being like, that's so cool, like she can do whatever she
looking
wants.
At Lilith,
or sorry, that's what I meant.
Okay,
you're Eve looking at Lilith and you're like, wow, like she can do whatever she wants, like maybe I should be a little more like that.
Right,
yeah,
exactly
being like, you know what, no, Adam,
yeah,
I'm not going to. It's the climax of the movie. You say
I'm not eating that apple.
Yeah. Leo, you're probably like super charming and you know it. Like maybe a little bit of like a narcissistic tendency.
Yeah,
I think the key here is like healing your inner child.
No, I feel like power in your outward appearance is like it's always gonna help you. You're always gonna have it though, kind of thing. And then it's like, what can you do like inward to be as powerful on the inside and like through your like communication skills or your like learnings or whatever to then like be that powerful as you are like through like your beauty or your charm or your personality. Like what can you like grow within yourself to like be as powerful, show-stopping, like 360.
I'm obsessed with that.
Thank you.
Great. Virgo, you probably have the tendency to be like extremely critical of both yourself and others. So I think finding ways to like release that like perfectionism or shame or like whatever is like the root of why you need to like nitpick everything. Yeah. Is like gonna give you a lot of peace and power.
Yeah, no, I think like shame is a huge keyword there for Virgo.
Libra. This is where we both have Libra Liliths.
Yeah.
A lot on like losing yourself or like being too passive in relationships.
Yeah.
I feel like I could just speak for both of us. Like we've definitely found like figuring out how we need to put our needs first and like standing our ground, particularly in partnerships.
Yeah.
Has been huge for both of us.
So I think like a lot of it is going to be about like subverting who you think you should be in partnership.
1000%,
so like we can both have a podcast and we're sluts and we can both have partners.
Yeah.
I wore my Astro Sluts tank top to a client meeting the other day because I can be whoever. I can present as whoever the fuck I want to be and be just as fucking smart. My mom was like, I cannot believe you wore that. And I'm like, well, I fucking killed.
Yeah.
And like, I can present as whatever powerful feminine energy I want because I know what I'm talking about and I know who I am, and I don't need to like fit into any kind of like suggested role.
Totally.
Or like fit anyone's idea of like balance or like almost like Libra, just like keeping peace vibes, like kind of status quo almost. And I think that can like extend beyond romantic relationships to like any way you interact with people.
Absolutely.
My mean Lilith. I like that she's mean. I'm gonna say she's mean in temperament.
She's a bitch. Yeah,
she's a bitch. My mean Lilith.
I'm like, it's
my
getting
bitch
pun.
Lilith.
Am I allowed to say that on the podcast?
So what's the TikTok song? Why wouldn't you say that?
Yeah. It's our podcast. I edit it, so if I say I'm allowed to, yeah,
you're the editor.
Yeah, big cunt energy from Lilith.
My Lilith is in Libra, but Libra is my ascendant, and mine is like on 0 degrees on the ascendant.
Crazy.
That's crazy. I read that this morning. I was like saying, I'm like, something's happening. I'm realizing something. My parents are like, okay. I'm like trying to tell them they have no idea what I'm talking about. They're like, okay. I'm like, no, this is something. This is big.
Yeah.
But I was reading about like Lilith conjunct your ascendant, and it is like just like incredibly like wild feminine energy, like huge, like kind of like overly sexualized a lot of times too, which like I feel like is the epitome of like the dark feminine is just like. I talked about this in our other, like when we talked about Asteroids season 3, just like wifey whore complex, like always being seen as like the more sexualized, like feminine, and not like the nurturer, mother, relationship, girlfriend type, like always led like sexualized entity, which I think is super interesting. It also just like talked about for Lilith conjunct ascendant, like having like a strong connection to like Mother Earth and nature and like holistic healing and like things like that, which I think is another cool side of like the feminine that we don't talk about often. Yeah. Or like, I mean, obviously like Mother Earth, but like I feel like that's often like when you think of like you were saying, like everyone has feminine and masculine, like another part of feminine is just being like connected with ground and earth and healing methods and like taking from the earth and taking from like Mother Earth and like using it for yourself, which I just thought was cool. Yeah.
That's really sweet. My Lilith also in Libra is in the 6th house of like, I mean, also health, but is like of like work as well. I just like can't. I'm just like not into like working or like discipline. Yeah. Like I can't stand being managed or like being told what to do. If I have like a manager at work, I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah. I want to be able to do whatever I want. Like I really love being like employed by myself. I think it's also, I have a hard time like, or have in the past, like finding like that balance between like work and like pleasure and beauty in life. I think also just when I was like reading about someone else's interpretation of this, it also was like having a hard time asking for help in like a health regard, which I thought was interesting as well, or just like a general like distrust of like healthcare.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Which I was like, yeah. But then also just like Lilith and Libra in general, like y'all know I used to date the boys. Yeah. I was just like a shell of a human of like just this is what I'm supposed to do. Like I don't care about this at all. Like they're obsessed with me, so I guess like this is probably the right move.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like that very like, I mean, Libras, like obviously I have my little Libra placements myself, so I'm very familiar with this topic, but like Libras can very much like, I feel like Libras could go with the flow for their entire lives if like they never had an awakening, right? So like in terms of like feminine energy, relationships, things like that, like I feel like you could have like, you're too self-aware, but like someone in your situation could like easily just like go with the flow their entire life and not have not question it.
Right. Yeah, totally. And I've been blessed with, the internet and like surrounded by humans that have like made me be like, oh, like maybe I am allowed to like be happy.
Do something else. Yeah. Literally.
Yeah, but so I really felt the Lilith placements.
Yeah, no,
too.
I was shooketh.
Right, because I don't have too much in, or like really anything in Libra anyway. So
Yeah.
a nice little, there's some of that in there.
No, exactly.
On to Scorpio. I feel like a Scorpio Lilith is going to be just like generally closed off and untrusting just of people in general. And I think unpacking like the trauma behind that and just like finding power in like that vulnerability and like just learning to trust people and like allow them to see you.
Yeah, I feel like that could also, you could be like such a good, like, even if it's like as simple of like a friend that your other friends can like talk to you about sex, or like a healer in like a more like sexual or like taboo like form. Like I feel like that would be like, they would be like such like a realized, like someone who's like done the shadow work.
Totally.
Like total, like Lilith and Scorpio have like so many of the same themes that like if you like uncovered that, like I feel like you could like make a whole, I'm like making your job. You could make like a whole career, like your whole life I feel like could center around like uncovering other people's taboo, whatever they think is taboo, honestly.
No, I'm imagining, did you ever watch the second season of Bling Empire?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Of course. That girl that like they like sun
like sun coochied. That's
right,
not what it's called.
It was something like
sun your bum hole.
Some whatever that was.
What do they call it? Sunning. I think maybe they call it
just sunning.
Yeah, when you put your butt
I'm
to
like
the sky.
sun rimming, like
yeah,
something like that. But yeah, on this, if you don't know,
exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I know.
That exact person.
Some sort of like
totally
like
or like the goop.
Like
the goop sex series,
goop
like
energy.
that. Those therapists, like that's. I think you should do that.
Niche sex therapy, healing.
Yeah, you're out there, getting bitches to lay on the ground with their legs open to the sun.
Right. I love that.
I love
for
that.
You. Sagittarius Lilith is going to like maybe struggle with like belief systems or like religion, like have a big like questioning of your beliefs and like, you know, maybe you have an impulse to like, you know, not believe in anything kind of vibe. And I think either just like learning to have trust in a higher power or just like owning what you believe in instead of just believing what someone told you to believe in, like finding what is actually like feels true and resonant for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think it's almost one of those like things where you like, I think we were talking like similar to what we talked about with like the heal your inner teen part of inner child. I feel like Sagittarius have like a reckless stereotype about them.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like it could be like, what do you need to get from that while also being like safe?
Yes.
Like what do you need to get through like endless travel and wild parties and nights out and relationships and sex? Like what are you looking for? Like what is actually going to fulfill you? What are you looking for?
Right.
In life,
what's going to give
like
you
very
meaning?
Sag. Like what are you looking for? Like maybe your intent, like your first idea is going to be like, I'm going to go out and party and stay up all night and hook up with 9 million people. Like, okay, that's fine. But like, what are you trying to get out of that? And I think that's going to be like a kind of journey for them. Like, what are you seeking?
Right.
And how are you doing it?
Yes.
But yeah, like definitely like seeking.
I think why we like this like concept of the Lilith placements is because they are like, it feels like a short-term north node. Something like attainable that you could like
you could
actually
have a breakthrough.
Yes, as opposed to like, you know, your north node is like what you need to be headed towards like long term. Yeah. And Lilith feels more like something that you could like realize today and it could help you directly tomorrow.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I agree. Fun. Capricorn Lilith might be overly concerned with like a reputation or like success in your life and your career. Yeah. And I think like learning to like not give a fuck what other people think about you. Like you just doing you because you want to and not because that's like what capitalism expects of you. And like I think just unpacking like capitalism in general, and I think similarly to how the patriarchy is the root of like the Lilith myth, like capitalism is also a very large, like if you go back far enough in anything, it's like totally rooted in capitalism.
Yeah.
And just like your career does not define your worth.
Right. I think like also with this, it's like power can look like different things.
Yes.
And like I think it can be like it doesn't have to be like power like your CEO. You know? I think that's so funny. I like hate that term. I think
hilarious.
It's so funny. That's like also part of my like other thing of like I would love to start like using things like that. Like either oh my god, you're a CEO.
Stop.
When you meet like a man who runs a company, like that's so you're a
really
dadpreneur.
Stop.
You're I don't know. I'm sure there's a million more I could think of. But yeah, if you ever meet a man, you can be like, oh my god, you're a CEO. How cool. But yeah, instead of being like, I'm CEO, or like I have to rule people, or I have to be the most in power, or like whatever, you could, yeah, like how can you have the most agency and most like meaning and like awareness of like yourself and like what is your power?
I think it might be helpful for a Capricorn Lilith to like define what like success
that means for them.
Look like for you, almost unpack why you want those things. I had college professors that were married, and like they said, I can't remember which one of them, but it was like the two of them were like, you know, defining what success was going to look like for them in their careers. Like at what point would they know that they've like reached a level of success that they've been working towards? And their example was like when they had like their own like washer and dryer was like, we're gonna know that we've really and that's like something that's like totally for them.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's so interesting. I know. I think about like similar to what you're saying. I was at like a panel or something once, and like someone said kind of same thing, like, what does your success mean to you? And then they were like, is it making this much money? Whatever. And I think it was like, I think it was like in my teen era, but I wasn't in college. So I was hanging out with all people who were older than me and like just like consumed a lot of their stuff because they were just like older and knew better in my head, at least, for whatever that was true or not. And I always like, it's so interesting because like that amount of money is like what I on paper make now, like, and it's like, it's so interesting that for me that was always like someone else's idea of success was like that, and that's where I am right now. And then I'm like, and I have to almost be like, no, you want more.
Yeah.
Like I always like find myself being like, no, that is like someone's idea of success.
Yeah, was put on
that
you.
was like put on me when I was like just got a job and just started to have an income, and like, and I'm like, now I'm like, no, that's not what I want. Like I want more, and I want better, and I want like, I sometimes I'm like, no, you should be grateful. Like that's someone's idea of success. And like, yes, like always check yourself, but at the same time, like I think exactly like what you were saying, like for some people it's having a washer and dryer, but like that's for them.
Yes.
And then like, what does that look like for you? Like,
and that's not something that was like put on. You need to have your own washer and dryer.
No,
right?
exactly.
Like,
but I feel like I always have this like weird that like plays in my head a lot. Yeah. And I'm like, no, you're fine. Like that's someone's idea of like comfort.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, but you don't have to have that that doesn't have to be your end all be all.
Yes. Finding power in what is important to you. You want to be successful. That's great, honestly. Finding power and like standing in that, like in just what you want and what you're gonna get.
Yeah. That's funny that my like my wall to math or whatever is Lilith and Capricorn.
Oh, okay, yes.
I'm like, why did I just talk about that for so long?
I know. I was like, well, this is concerning because you don't have this. But no, that's totally
interesting.
A different Lilith placement. I love that. Aquarius, I think, is gonna like probably manifest as like feeling left out, or like you don't belong, or like you have a fear of like sticking out of a crowd.
Yeah.
And like doing some work, like learning to love what makes you different, and like finding power in like rebellion or just like your uniqueness.
Yeah. Definitely
What makes you you?
let your freak flag fly
Oh,
energy
yeah.
is going to be what's like very healing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Pisces. A Pisces Lilith is going to like really like carry the whole world on their shoulders, I think. Like Pisces energy is very much like empath energy. I think when it comes too much, this goes for just like Pisces in general, you turn to like fantasy and escapism.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's just like the world is like too much to
Yeah.
be in. Like you have to make your own like safe little place. Finding like reality and like what you can do to like actually like
ground yourself,
help the world, like
in the world, in earthly things.
Like finding ways to like relieve the world of some of the pain that you are taking on.
Totally.
Like, or just like finding an outlet for your empathy.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. Obviously, I'm like a big fan of like not participating in the in reality.
Yeah.
But
come on, Jupiter.
Yeah, exactly. Like same. Love to be in my own world as well. But yeah, like how can you come back to earth to a degree that sometimes Pisces take it? It's like not in a healthy way.
Totally.
So yeah, like how do you find balance? How do you find groundedness? How do you participate in the plane we exist in?
Yeah.
Whether we're happy about it or not, you know?
More so closing thoughts now. I found like in my research, I feel like looking at your Lilith sign and like using like leaning into the like positive traits of that sign as a way to like find power for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
I think is really fun. You could also like, you know, use our rising sign episode where the color of your Lilith sign.
Right. Yeah. I know. I think this one works like both ways too, because we both have this in Libra. You could use those qualities to like further your relationships and yourself, but you could also use like the qualities that Libra doesn't always possess to like almost do the same.
Yeah.
I think it's like a nice, I mean, obviously that does like relate to a lot of like shadow work and things like that. Like what is the like the two sides of it?
Right. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
like how can you use both?
Yeah. Really fun.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Thank you for writing in about this because we really enjoyed looking into both our own Lilith placements.
Yeah.
And I think these are just all like really, especially as people born, you know, socialized as girlies. Like all of these things, like we could all just have more power and like stand up for ourselves in every parts of our life. So I think even just like like organizing this by what the signs represent is like, you know, you can kind of take a little something from every
I think
Lilith
this is
sign.
like I think like Lilith is a super interesting placement. I think it's something that like probably most of us, if not all of us, really relate to and like feel within us and probably are all working on. So I think it's like a nice way to tie back to just like the shit you're trying to do like at your job, in your relationships, in your friend, just like taking more power, not being afraid of like femininity or your feminine energy, and like how does that actually tie back to like astrology, which we all love.
Yeah. Lilith is mommy.
Yeah. Mommy?
Sorry. Mommy? Sorry. Big MILF energy from
Absolutely.
Lilith. I love that.
Good for her.
Thank you for joining us on our 5th Quickie. Thank you for writing in. Keep writing in. If you would like to hear from us, we have links in all of our social media bios to a little submission form. You can use the season 4 submission form if you're listening around the time that this came out. If not, I'm like, maybe you're a latecomer. Click on the season 8 submission form.
Right?
I'm manifesting.
I love it.
And we would love to hear from you and either chat about an astrology topic you want or give you some advice.
Yeah. We're here for you, whatever you need.
We're here. We love to talk.
Bye, sluts.
Bye.